Spotify continues its move into artificial intelligence, this time announcing that they're expanding the AI playlists to a number of new countries. This follows the Spotify AI DJ and word that the company is working on artificial intelligence ads. So I want to go into exactly what they announced this week, how this could potentially impact the company and engagement. That's really the story here, is that Spotify's Play is being the best way to discover the content that you're looking for. Right now, this is music, but in the future, could this extend to podcasts and audiobooks and even video? That's what I want to dig into today. My name is Travis Hoyam. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content, and thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. Let's look at what Spotify announced. This is the announcement: AI playlist, still in beta, but it's going to be rolling out to the US, Canada, Ireland, and New Zealand. That's after starting in the UK and Australia. So it seems like there was enough success there to start rolling this out around the world. And what this does is combines Spotify's personalization technology with generative AI so that users can create playlists. Formerly, Spotify had a whole bunch of playlists that were available. There was an algorithm that would curate music based on the things that you like. This does it in a little bit more of a generative way. So you can ask it a question or just give it prompts. They give a number of interesting examples, and you can see how this would play out in the way that you listen to music or in your life. So this person was looking for rom-com soundtracks from the 90s and 2000s. This person went on a holiday in Tulum and was packing, preparing for a trip, asked for chilled electronic music. So this is another way for Spotify to lean into its role as being a discovery place for users. Not only a discovery place for music, and that discovery role is one of the reasons that Spotify is in the position that it's in today. Now, layered on top of this, we don't know any details behind this, but is it possible that artists can essentially pay their way to move up into these playlists? I think that could be an interesting revenue stream for Spotify. The company has done that in the past, generating somewhere around $100 million a year on artists basically paying to move up into people's feeds so they get a little bit of exposure. If they do the same thing with these artificial intelligence playlists, that could be great for both discovery and for revenue. So interesting play here, but I want to talk about how this ties to something that I'm really expecting in the future and expecting to grow. That is Spotify's generative AI voiceover ads. So this would be an advertisement that, let's say, a celebrity reads for a brand, but it's actually an AI generated advertisement. So Bill Simmons talked about this on his podcast. They can make an AI with his voice and then just simply put in ad copy based on whatever the advertiser wants to say. And then Gen AI would actually create the advertisement. This isn't something out of science fiction. You can do this today. I am using Descript to record this video. I could do the exact same thing because Descript has my voice based on the videos that I've created, and I can just type text and have a digital version of myself read that into this video. So something that's definitely coming, but launching that at scale, figuring out how the ad platform works, how it's going to be delivered, that's something that I don't think Spotify has quite figured out yet. But this is where Gen AI is really going to be a benefit for Spotify. It's going to improve their advertisements, could improve their playlists, and even think about in the future, if you are listening to podcasts and you want information on a company or a certain piece of technology or from a certain celebrity, instead of searching for that in Spotify, you could actually just ask Spotify to find a piece of content that fits what you're looking for. It could even look for a certain phrase or a quote that you heard a few weeks ago. These are the little ways that Spotify is using AI to benefit the entire Spotify ecosystem. And again, I think the big thing here is it's separating itself from the competition, from Apple, from YouTube, from Amazon. These are the companies that aren't able to focus on music, on audio, the way that Spotify is. And so that's why Spotify is leaning into these AI tools before those companies are. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. Where are we going to see this work its way into Spotify's financials? There's two places to look in the future. One is going to be on the premium side. And the biggest thing I'm going to watch, we of course want to see revenue growth. And I think this is the kind of thing that could increase engagement, add value to those premium services. But gross profit, and that gross profit margin is the thing that I would look at. Right now, the company has about a 30% gross profit. That has hovered a little lower than that in the past, but that's kind of where the company has peaked out over the past few years, is at that 30% mark. Can they push that a little bit higher to 32, 33, 35%? I think would kind of be the stretch goal. Remember, they're sharing revenue with record labels and with artists. So they do have to negotiate with those record labels and artists. But the more that Spotify can keep, the more profitable the company will be. The reason to think that something like an AI playlist would be able to push these numbers a little bit higher was what I talked about earlier. Are record labels willing to put a little bit of budget into getting exposure for different artists? That's where Spotify could generate a little bit of revenue that would basically flow almost entirely to the bottom line. So you have better value for the user experience, and you're connecting artists and record labels with users, something that they're willing to pay for. So I think that's where you would see impact there. The other thing is in advertising. You can see here that advertising has not been a particularly profitable business for Spotify. There are a number of reasons for that. The company just doesn't have a lot of scale. $1.8 billion in revenue over the past 12 months from the advertising business. That sounds big, but when you look at some of the other bigger advertising platforms, that's really, really small. So it's difficult to build all the technology that you have to build on the back end and ultimately be profitable in an ad-supported business like this with just this much revenue. But if they're able to grow this on the back of things like artificial intelligence, ad reads in music and in podcasts, I think that's where you could ultimately see more value. Not only increase revenue, but also increase that profitability. Because not only are you going to be able to use more targeted ads, but you're also offloading some of the creative from the advertiser. And that is where you're ultimately adding a ton of value. We're seeing companies like Meta Platforms do this. If I can go in as an advertiser, whether I'm a small advertiser or a big advertiser, and say, hey, create the creative as well. That means I don't have to have somebody create images or video or ad copy for me. I don't have to pay somebody to do ad reads. That saves a lot of money, and that is really valuable for those advertisers. They're going to be willing to pay more for that advertisement that's AI generated because of those cost savings. So this is where I would see the most potential for artificial intelligence. But the introduction of playlists, leaning into things like DJ, and eventually into AI ads is ultimately going to help Spotify drive more revenue and more profitability. So this is one of those companies that I think you do see a really good use case for artificial intelligence. Not really starting to impact the bottom line quite yet, but in the near future, we should absolutely see some improvements. So those are the two things I'm watching. Margins on the premium side, advertising revenue and margin growth as well. But let me know what you think about the new Spotify AI playlist. Leave those comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.